According to Hindu teaching and also theosophical writings, we are now in the age of Kali, or darkness, which is said to have commenced 5,000 years ago, after the death of Krishna. Its total length is said to be 432,000 years. So we have around 427,000 to go. Many New Age teachings and pseudo-spiritual philosophies say that it is coming to an end shortly, but this is not the accepted teaching on the subject. In fact, very accurate dates were given by Hindu philosophers who stated that it began on 3102 BCE and will end 428,899 CE. So one can see from this why many people would want it to end much quicker, but it seems we have it for quite some time yet. So the four ages are Satya Yuga, or the Golden Age, lasting 1,728,000 years. Treta Yuga, or Silver Age, lasting 1,296,000 years. Dwapara Yuga, or the Bronze Age, lasting 864,000 years, and the Kali Yuga, or Iron Age, lasting, as said, 432,000 years. Now the age of Kali is divided into sections. The first 36,000 years are said to be the period of dawning. The second is the Kali Yuga proper, which lasts 360,000 years, and then the period of dusk, which lasts 36,000 years. So we can see from this we are hardly into the dawning period. Still another 31,000 years to go before the Kali Yuga proper. This may seem rather daunting to most, but we must remember that this refers to the general trend. There are wheels within wheels. As I have said before in other talks, countries, towns, families and individuals have their golden, silver, bronze and iron ages, even in a day or an hour. For some people, most of their lives are a golden age or a dark age, or in between. Most though have a mixture. So do civilizations. They have their dawning, their period of prosperity, and then decline. Witness Egypt, Greece, Rome, India. Maybe if people took note of numbers, there may be interesting things to discover. I know that number 36 has been very prevalent in my life, and has been. My house number is 36, and so is my bus number. When I was 36, that was really driven home. But 36 has popped up constantly in different guises in my life. Now, when I was researching this and saw the division of the age of Kali, another piece of the jigsaw emerged. 36, so prevalent. But the dawning period may also be connected to Brahma, the period of stability, to Vishnu, to Brahma, which is the dawning. The period of stability could be connected to Vishnu, and the fading away, or the dusk, to Shiva. All these are personifications of powers that we all possess. As above, so below. We have the power to initiate something, to preserve it as long as we need it in our lives or on our journey, and then to dissolve it when it is no longer needed. Then we can regenerate on a higher level. Now in India there are said to be 30 million gods and goddesses, and this seems unbelievable that so many have been recorded. All of these are manifestations of Brahma, the ultimate reality. In this talk I'm going to be looking at Kali in some of her manifestations. To many she appears grotesque, and indeed there are certain cults who even offer sacrifices to her. In India the thugs, or thuggies, would rob and strangle victims in the name of Kali as sacrifices. She is said to be the consort of Shiva, and in most pictures is seen standing on him. One of the explanations says that this is because she had just been battling demonic forces and had won, so she was intoxicated by the victory and was getting out of control, so Shiva voluntarily lay down beneath her feet to calm her down. Again, this is referring to her as a Shakti of Shiva, and sometimes maybe this Shakti or energy does get out of control, so it needs a higher power to balance it, to calm it down. But for the more enlightened, she represents this Shakti, or a manifested power in this world, as goddesses generally do. She is a power that destroys evil forces and propensities in those who are attuned to her energy. It's also a lesson in not being misled by the outer form, as beauty may conceal evil, and apparent ugliness divinity. She is said to be the protector of the innocent, and despite her appearance, is a beneficial force for good. It's really a good thing to have her energy on your side. The necklace of severed heads represents those she has rescued from the illusion of their personal self, or egos, and therefore helped towards enlightenment. The blackness of Kali does not refer to darkness or evil, but the reality that is beyond human intellectualization. Before manifestation there was darkness. Her sword cut through our illusions and the concepts that hold us back from realizing our true self. Now the meaning of the name is as follows. It is Kali, also known as Kalika. The name Kali comes from Kala, which means black, time, death, Lord of Death, Shiva. Since Shiva is called Kala, the eternal time, Kali, his consort, also means time or death. Hence Kali is the goddess of time and change. She is a manifestation of the goddess Durga, who, unlike Kali, is beautiful in appearance, though she is a warrior for good against evil. There is also the goddess Meenakshi, who is a gentle aspect of Kali. HPB, in her book The Caves and Jungles of Hindustan, tells the story of Mr. Peters, an English collector for the holy city of Madura, a materialist who became a devotee of the goddess. As HPB tells us in this extract, talking first about a Brahman, among the latter there was one Mantrika, a Brahmana of the temple of Meenakshi, whose duty consisted of uttering mantras and other conjuring prayers before the goddess. In a short time he became the alter ego of the collector. Finally, one fine day, he brought the collector an idol of Meenakshi, and the bronze image was placed in the bedroom of the host. Knowing him as an archaeologist, the few Anglo-Indians who lived in Madura paid no particular attention to this. But now, Mr. Peters, who always slept very soundly, saw his goddess in a dream one night. The fish-eyed apparition tried to waken him hastily, bidding him to get up and get dressed. But even such summons could not have an effect on the sound sleep of the collector. Then, in his dream, it appeared as if the goddess herself began dressing him in haste. The holy hands of Meenakshi were not even squeamish about pulling his boots over his legs, boots which were made from sacred cowhide. Having dressed her admirer, she touched his forehead, saying, "Save yourself through the window, jump down, else you will perish." She vanished, and Mr. Peters awakened. The collector's house was on fire. The blaze was already licking the walls of his bedchamber with its greedy tongues, and the sole door leading out of the room was blazing. Without deliberating, he jumped out of the window and thus saved his life. The house was built on the banks of the river, but at the time of the fire, as usual, the Vaigai, which was the river, was absolutely dry. Suddenly, and to the amazement of all, before the eyes of the gathered crowd, The water began oozing through the riverbed and to rise rapidly to the very veranda of the burning house. Thanks to this unexpected help, the fire was soon put out and many objects of Mr. Peters' priceless collection were saved. Only papers and documents of great importance to the government were burned. So ultimately, Kali is a power that we all possess, as all the gods and goddesses are manifestations of some power or other, anthropomorphized images of these powers. Perhaps Mr. Peters was protected by his own higher self, taking the form of Meenakshi. But then how did the river rise to put out the fire? Coincidence? Or is it all just a legend? The mystery remains. So this is just a brief extract, and one should read the original article to put it into its true context. So how can we relate all this to the age of Kali? Well, if the Hindus regarded Kali as a beneficial force, why is she associated with a time of evil and darkness? It is most likely because in times of difficulty and darkness there is more opportunity to develop good qualities and to develop the ability to see beyond this darkness to the eternal divinity that each one of us possesses, in the same way that we see beyond Kali's outer form and discover that she is not evil at all. Plus she represents that power in us to survive and overcome those dark forces. And as time we know that time consumes all things in the end, as we know that time consumes all things in the end, even the evil that often plagues us on this planet from time to time, change is always accompanied by suffering. So beyond the seeming darkness there is eternal light. When we can learn to love Kali, we can see that everything in the end works towards the good, if only we can awaken to that fact. To remain ignorant of it is to fall into the pit of despair, as many do. In The Voice of the Silence by H.P. Blavatsky it states, "Behold the hosts of souls, watch how they hover over the stormy sea of human life, and are exhausted, bleeding, broken-winged, they drop one after another on the swelling waves. Tossed by the fierce winds, chased by the gale, they drift into the eddies and disappear within the first great vortex. If through the hall of wisdom thou hast reached the veil of bliss, disciple, close fast thy senses against the great dire heresy of separateness that weans you from the rest." So let's not be discouraged by this age of Kali, but see beyond the darkness to the light that never goes out, and be warriors of love and peace for the good of all.